happening, Magnus sites? So we got some controversy, some more controversy going on at the Olympics right now. And let's take a look at this, because what I'm hearing is that this is two boxers, two female boxers. One got hit so hard, she said it was the hardest she'd ever been hit before. And, well, let's talk about the controversy right after we check out the footage. So she got hit once and she quit. Okay, so now, from what I hear, she quit. She was crying. She was defeated. She said she had never been hit so hard in her life. However, there's this picture floating around saying that this is actually a female, because everyone's saying that she's transgender. However, there's also a situation with two boxers, one of them being the one that I just showed you, failing these gender tests. So I'm like all confused, and I'm going to take a look at Fox News and see if they know just what in the hell is happening.
Well, this was a moment of history. It happened earlier today in France, and a major controversy, too, has now erupted out of Paris. An Algerian boxer shown in the red uniform who failed a gender eligibility test last year has now won an opening fight after only 46 seconds. Her opponent...
A gender eligibility test. So you have to be eligible for a gender. That does sound like something that someone that is transgender would go through. However, it also may be, I think a few years ago, there was this female runner. It was a black girl. I think she may have been from Africa, but she had really manly features. And there's this issue that you can have where you can be a male or a female. However, you can look like the opposite gender, or look more like the opposite gender. So an extremely effeminate male or a really masculine woman. However, they've got all the artillery down there. It's like, you know, so I do remember that. Let's continue and see what's what.
Breaking down in tears, calling...
I know some of you would say, oh, no, that picture's it's AI or something.
It, quote, unjust. Greg Palcott picks it up from London with more on what happened.
By the way, something related to this, what the hell is up with Brittany Griner? Is Brittany Griner a woman or a man? Because I saw a video of Brittany Griner with her shirt off, and it literally appeared to me to be a male chest. And then, and I've seen enough naked women over the years, even petite ones that were kind of flat-chested. Their chest didn't look like that. Like that looked like a chest I would see on a male. So is Brittany Griner that type of, I don't know. So, but then there's the whole clip where Brittany's talking about that she is going to be a papa. So I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Is Brittany Griner a man or a woman? What was Brittany Griner born? Is Brittany Griner trans? Like that threw me all off. But anyway, let's continue.
Great.
Hey, Bill. Yeah, big controversy indeed at the Olympics. A boxer deemed a biological male beating an Italian female opponent with the Italian crying out, "I couldn't take it anymore." despite failing that gender test by the International Boxing Association and being banned from an
I couldn't take it anymore. It was one hit. I mean, I get that. One hit could make you quit, but...
international tournament last year, Algerian 25-year-old Iman Khalif was okayed by Olympic authorities to compete. And apparently today it was a very one-sided fight with Italian Angela Carini, also 25. After just 46 seconds and several sharp punches to the head, including the nose by Khalif, Carini abandoned the fight, threw her helmet to the floor, stormed off the boxing ring, and in fact went on to...
I tell you this, I know men that would quit after one punch. So, you know, just depends on the man that's punching you.
To say that she had never felt such strong blows in a contest before. Now, Algerian Khalif has competed for several years in other international tournaments, including the Olympics, but was banned last year due to, according to officials, elevated levels of testosterone. Algerian sports officials have called the charges against Khalif baseless, but others have raised concerns about the health of opposing athletes when, according to one, a man fights a woman. And Khalif is not the only one getting attention. Taiwan boxer Lin Yu Ting is competing in the Olympics, including a fight tomorrow, and has also been deemed a biological male, according to the International Boxing Association. In a statement, the IBA said in part, this test conclusively indicated that both athletes did not meet necessary eligibility criteria and were found to have competitive advantages over other female competitors. One more quote from the defeated Italian. Boxing is a sport that teaches you to have respect for the opponent. It cannot and must not become an abuse. Back to you.
What a story. I think it's quite a moment in this whole campaign, whether it's here or overseas. Greg, thank you for that in London. We got more of this now, Dana.
Want to bring in Clarissa Shields. She's a professional boxer and a two-time Olympic gold medalist. It's great to have you. And her necklace there says "Guo."
She's looking rather strong,
It is
too.
really good to have you here. You've competed in 2 Olympics. This, you told us in the break, was not an issue when you were in the Olympics. And there's the medals. What do you think about all of this?
Nah.
Well, my first Olympics, I was 17 years old. So I hadn't even fully developed as a woman. So I couldn't imagine getting inside the ring with the biological man. I mean, even though I spar against the men, but fighting for the Olympics is way bigger than that. It's so much more on the line. So to have to go in there with the opposite gender when, look, women fight against women, men fight against men. So I don't even see how the Olympics done something like this.
You know, I watched this video earlier today, Clarissa. Have you seen it? Of the Italian boxer saying, I'm out. Have you seen the video yet?
What I don't get is if you fail the test, how come you're still allowed to compete? I got some more stuff coming, so we're gonna try to piece this together.
I seen it.
I mean, she really looked scared to me. What did you think?
You know, I grew up in a gym sparring against a lot of guys and stuff, but every fighter, woman fighter, does not do that. So the power to her did seem like it was much bigger and much stronger, and it did scare her, you know. And I don't know how old she is, but it's still like when you're born, and man, you're already born with the bigger muscles and the bigger neck, and you've grown up to be a man. You know, you didn't change genders when you was a kid, so it to me it's just unfair, and I just can't believe that it's being done, and I just couldn't imagine it happening to me.
Wait a minute.
I just can't.
No
believe
indication
that
that Khalif or Lynn identify as transgender or intersex.
I just can't believe that it's being done, and I just couldn't.
Oh. Wait, so isn't intersex what people would call hermaphrodite? But like I said, I remember them talking about that with that one girl that was a runner. And they were saying something about, you know, her having extra basically having extra male features, even though she was female.
I can imagine it happening to me.
There's not that many women who are willing to stand up and say this is wrong. And, you know, I admire you for doing so.
And I guess the question goes to, okay, so if you are a biological female, however, if you do have that issue to where you have more prominent male features, which would make you more masculine in certain areas, does that, you know, I guess it does, in certain situations, would transfer to the muscles and everything and may make them stronger than the normal female. Is that fair? You know what I mean? Maybe that's why they failed. Maybe they were so strong that even though they're female, they didn't pass that test.
Do you think the Olympics will have a change of heart here? I mean, if you see her, that young woman from Italy, she worked just as hard as anybody else to get to the Olympics, and her dream was dashed in 46 seconds because of him.
It is very hard to qualify for the Olympics. You have to go through so many different international tournaments, country tournaments to even make it to the Olympics. So, for me, I can understand her devastation, but it shouldn't be ruined due to a man. And I think that the Olympics definitely dropped the ball, you know. And listen, I don't have anything against transgender women or transgender men. All I'm saying is that men should fight against men, women should fight against women, and transgenders should fight against transgenders. That is how I feel. I will stand with that.
No, she's right.
I'm not homophobic or anything like that, or against the gay community.
And that shame you got to say that, see? Everybody has to say that. Or there are certain people out there would automatically label you. It's a damn shame that you can't say that without having to say that.
That's not right.
Hey, Clarissa, thanks for coming on and sharing your story. And you'll always have those two medals.
Thank you, guys.
And you are a champ.
Cool, right on. The quote.
Thank you, Clarissa. She's great.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm...
Okay, so. Now, check this out right here. Woman boxer abandons fight in tears against athlete who failed gender test. Now, watch this. Come on.
Talking about real people's lives here. This involves real people, and we're talking about real people's lives here. They have competed and they continue to compete in the women's competition. They have lost and they have won against other women throughout over the years. And by the way, this isn't, should make this absolutely clear for everyone, this is not a transgender issue. I know you know that, but I think there has been some misreporting on this, and I think it's very important to say that this is not a transgender issue. These women have been competing in competitions for many years. Okay, so what I don't like about that is that he says this is not a transgender issue, which the way he worded that, these women have been competing for years. He's saying it's not a transgender issue, but the way he words it lends it to the fact that they could be transgender, but this situation isn't a problem because they're transgender. You got what I'm saying? So, but people are saying that they're not. Let me see here. It says an Italian boxer burst into tears after abandoning a boxing match at Paris 2024 Olympics. Stopped her bout at 46 seconds with a boxer who had previously failed gender eligibility test. The incident has sparked controversy during the Paris Games as Carini fell to her knees in the middle of the ring and said, "This isn't fair." Khalif was one of the two female boxers who had previously been banned for failing gender eligibility testosterone tests. The other was Lin Yuting of Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, who is due to fight Uzbekistan's Satora. I can't pronounce that last name. The pair were barred from competing in the 2023 Women's World Championships by the International Amateur Boxing Association. Its president, Umar Kremlev, said at the time that their DNA tests had proved that they had XY chromosomes, the male chromosomes, that were thus excluded per The Guardian. Okay, so that would mean that they are males. The International Olympic Committee allowed them to compete because the two boxers are women according to their passports.
and also passed its own eligibility tests. Wait a minute now. In 2021, the IOC released its framework on the matter of gender and sex variation to ensure that everyone, irrespective to their gender identity or sex variations, can practice sports in a safe, harassment-free environment that recognizes and respects their needs and identifies and the interests and identities and the interests of everyone, particularly athletes at elite level, to participate in fair competitions where no participants has an unfair and disproportionate advantage over the rest. Many sports bodies and IOC sometimes require women to be tested for testosterone, as they can only compete if their testosterone is below a certain level at least 12 months prior to competing. It is often applied to women recognized as having disorders of sex development, which is more commonly known as being intersex, and they are required to reduce their testosterone to be able to compete. The World Medical Association advises doctors not to administer testosterone-lowering medication because it believes the regulation is contrary to international medical ethics and human rights standards. The policies also apply to women with hyperandrogenism, which is a term used to describe high levels of testosterone. Critics of the policies have argued that they are unfair and revert to outdated concepts of biology. While the testosterone may have some impact on how the body works, it is impossible to quantify how much effect it is having. Man, the IOC defended its decision to allow the women to fight ahead of the competition. Obviously, I'm not going to comment on individuals. IOC spokesman Mark Adams said, per The Guardian, that's really invidious and unfair. But I would just say that everyone competing in the women's category is competing with the competition eligibility rules. They are women in their passports, and it is stated in this case. I don't. Okay, so Carini, 25, spoke to the media after the abandoned bout, saying that she had never been hit so hard in her life. I'm heartbroken. I went to the ring to honor my father. I was told a lot of times that I was a warrior, but I preferred to stop for my health. I have never felt a punch like this. I got into the ring. I didn't give up, but one punch hurt too much. So I said enough. I'm going out with my head held high. After the second punch, after years of experience, I felt a strong pain in my nose. I said enough because I couldn't finish the fight after the punch to the nose, so it was better to put an end to it. When asked about Khalif's eligibility to fight, Carini said it was not up to me to judge. Khalif spoke briefly to the BBC. I'm here for gold. I will fight anybody. I will fight them all. Sounds almost like a dude talking. That type of aggression. It is not known whether Khalif and Lynn identify as transgender or intersex, or if they have hyperandrogenism. But it has reignited a debate about transgender athletes competing in women's sports. People took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to share their thoughts. Yeah. I don't. What's going on? Well, here's the thing. If they've got XY chromosomes, I mean, biology says they're men. So I don't know what the hell is going on here, but it sounds to me at the end of the day that this was not a fair fight. Because if a man, like if you look at it, and I've seen men like this, if a man is overly effeminate, I've noticed that they're not as aggressive as other men. They're not as strong as other men. I've noticed that they're not as athletic as other men. So they would be at an actual disadvantage against other men. And then the female that is overly masculine. And I've seen women like this. It's like, where did she get all of this muscle from? Why is her jaw and neck so strong and thick? And what's going on here? And you can tell she's faster, she's stronger, she's more aggressive than other women. That would give them an advantage over other women. Man, post comments down below. Let me know what you think about this debacle.